How's it going, fellow Arcanauts? My name is the Archangel, and I'm here to give you a bit of an updated video on a video I did a little while ago on changing some of your multipliers on your single-player worlds. There's been a lot of changes to the arc.ini files and the config files, so I figured now would be a good time to kind of make an updated video showing some of the changes that went on and some things that are actually still the same. So I'm going to go ahead and bring over my files from my other monitor. And first thing you want to do to get in and edit these settings is you want to open up this PC or your local file location. I'm doing this on Windows 10. I can't say how similar it's going to be on like Mac, but I know on some earlier versions of Windows like Windows 8 and Windows 7, this should all look pretty similar. But anyway, you're going to go into your local disk, you're going to go into your program files times 86, not your regular program files. Next, you are going to go to Steam, and then Steam Apps, Common, and I apologize if I'm going too quick, let me slow down a little bit. You'll go into your ARC folder, and yes, I have a lot of games in my Steam folder, that's pretty much all I do most of the time. You're going to go into Shooter Game, you're going to go into, I believe, forgetting myself, that's right. Config. I was thinking it was saved. No. It is saved. Then it's config. That's right. And then you go into your Windows No editor. And in here you've got where it used to be the game.ini files, but now it's a game config file. So you're going to double click on that, probably open it up in Notepad or something similar. And I'm sure this probably, for those of you who saw my last video, will probably recognize these settings. These are just the per level stat multipliers for players, tame dinos, and wild dinos. I'm going to ignore that little bit at the bottom you might have seen, but I want to talk about this real quick. This is just to increase the things that will change when you add level up points to a character or a dino. So, for example, 0 is health, 1 is going to be your stamina, 2, for a player at least, and dinos, is torpidity, 3 is oxygen, 4 is your food, 5 is water, 6 temperature, 7 weight, 8 melee damage, 9 speed, 10 fortitude, and 11 crafting speed. I know there is an 11 for wild and tame dinos, but unless you're doing modded with dinos that actually have a crafting speed, like I know there's some mods out there where certain dinos can actually craft things, which I think is kind of cool. But anyway, that would be the only time those settings would really affect those dinos. But you're generally only going to use them for your player, like the crafting speed. Number 6, temperature. I'm not 100% sure what this one does, but I think it has something to do with how quickly your character's temperature changes. So if it's set to a high multiplier, your temperature will change very quickly between a hot and cold region, so you'll get hot a lot quicker and cold a lot quicker. I don't know why this would be used, but hey, if you want to make it a little more challenging survival task, be my guest and go ahead and up that multiplier. But I'm not 100% sure if that's what it means or not. Just giving what I think it is. I haven't really messed with it, so I can't say 100%. So, and then tame dinos and wild dinos, those are pretty much the same thing as players. You can increase how much their weight will increase per level up point, their health, their stamina, melee damage, all that stuff. And it's kind of fun to play around with those settings just to see what you can do, and not really how easy you can make it, but how much less of a grind you can make single player. Because I know from experience, I don't really play on multiplayer servers because, no offense to the people who enjoy multiplayer, but I'm not really a huge fan of those environments because a lot of the time anymore on Ark, there's these mega tribes, and they consume nearly every single popular server. And so I'm just not the kind of person to go on there and try and compete with that, because if you make them mad, you can kiss goodbye to everything you own. And I just think that's kind of rude, I guess would be a way to say it, but I mean that's how some people like to play. So if they want that challenge, that's for them. But I'm just saying that's not personally my favorite thing to do. One thing I wanted to scroll up to real quick is number 3, which is your oxygen. The higher that multiplier and the higher your oxygen stat, the faster you swim. I bumped it up to 100 just because of the fact that you can just because of the fun of swimming super fast without riding anything underwater. And that's about the only thing it's good for. And that and also you won't have to wear scuba gear. You'll still get cold underwater, but you won't have to wear scuba gear because your oxygen is going to last you for ages and ages, probably longer than you'll ever need to be down there. But that's just something I did in my settings just for the fun of it. If you want to try it, go right ahead. Now the next thing is something I did not cover in my last video, and it's something I think a lot of people want to change in their games, because as everyone knows, with the level cap that's in single player, you actually can't gain enough Engram points to unlock all the engrams. So what you can do is you can come into this game file and you can put in this command, OverridePlayerLevelEngramPoints. The sad thing about this command is it only works per level. So I think there's 90 levels you can get in Ark. It's been a while since I've actually played the game, so I apologize if I'm rusty on how many levels a player can get, but I'm pretty sure that's how many you have. So to increase the number of Engram points you get per level, you have to add this line for each level. And so this is level 0 when you first spawn in. It's basically saying you're not going to have any Engram points when you first spawn in. And then when you level up to level 1, for me I set it to 75 just because I felt like it. And then the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 I have is just 24 Engram points. I think that's twice the normal. I think you get like 12 or something now. And then I upped a bunch past this because I know the further your level gets up, the more expensive things get. I could have put those anywhere further on these lines, but that's what I chose to do it. I'm going to put just the default this default one line in the comment or in the bottom description of this video. So all you have to do is just copy and paste about 90 times. I know it's kind of a bit of a pain, but that's what you have to do from what I've seen. I don't think there's any other way around it right now. I don't think they've added any sort of system to set a certain number of Engram points, because per level, I'm pretty sure by default your Engram point count increases per level in the default game. So I think it would be kind of difficult for them unless they added a multiplier per level to multiply the basic number of points you get, but I don't think that's in the game yet. Now this next bunch, starting from this PG favorites onward, is not something I've actually put into this file. It's something that has generated in the file as I've updated the game. So what is new is from what I believe I'm seeing in this program or this config folder, these settings here, these stat multipliers per level, not the override engram, but the stat multipliers per level, are actually encompassed here now. So your per stat multiplier dino tamed, that's the same as up above. And so instead of adding those lines that what I have, you can now just come straight into your game config file and change these numbers yourself. Now I haven't really messed with them a whole lot. I've gone into the affinity, but I don't know what this is. I think this is once you tame it, that's how the stats will change. And then I'm pretty sure this setting here is like, you know how when you tame a dino, you have sometimes a certain number of levels that they'll gain from the taming process. And I'm pretty sure this is the multiplier you get on those points that are spent on the dino after they're actually tamed, but you don't actually get to use on the dino. I'm pretty sure that's what this section is. And then the affinity, I'm pretty sure is what your basic used to be when you're determining what your level up points will do to a tamed dino. So as usual, if you increase 0, they'll get more health per point that you add to them, and further and so on. I do see now, though, I didn't see this before before I recorded this video, but they took 11 away from the tamed dino. So I mean, it makes sense. Dinos don't really have crafting speed, although I do hear that the Phoenix that they're going to be adding, or maybe have added already, I haven't checked in a little while, that I believe it's supposed to be able to actually smelt ingots. I think that's the first dino they've added that actually does something like that, aside from the snail, which I believe... I actually haven't messed with the snail just because it's such a pain in the neck to tame. I believe that you can craft cementing paste, or maybe it just stores it in its inventory. I can't remember. I read it a long while ago, but that's beside the point. And then this is obviously, as dinos get higher level in the wild, their stats can change to a degree of multiples like you can list in the game config file. And then obviously you've got your player stat, and actually I had 100 listed above for the player per stat level up. This actually can only go up to 99.999001. It's pretty much 100, but I guess that's just how the config file lists it. And then here you can actually change a few other items, which I think this part of it is really awesome. You can decrease your spoil timers, or sorry, like decrease as in make the timers longer, or you can make them shorter if you really wanted to do that. And then also item decomposition, corpse decomposition, PvP structure damage, and a whole bunch of other items like crop growth, egg laying intervals, pooping intervals, crop decay, all sorts of stuff. I'm not really going to go through every single one of them because there's a lot. So it's basically just, once you get into this file, scroll down to the bottom and go ahead and just look through all of these, because there's a lot of things that weren't in here before that are in here now, which I think is really awesome. Okay, there's a really important one I believe is in here that I'm trying to find. It should be down here towards the bottom. No, it actually is not in this. So what I'm looking for is the setting to allow dinos to fly inside of caves. That ability was removed quite a few updates ago, and what you actually have to do is go into your launcher settings, and I had not thought of this before I started the video, so I apologize if that I do not have this for you, but I will put this either in the description or in the comments below, how to actually enable flyers. The last time I checked, it wasn't working for me, but I may not have spelled it right, so I'm going to give you what I know, and then you can take it from there. But this is going to end the video. That's about all I have to say. I don't really know of much else. Like I said, I haven't really played the game in a while, so I apologize if I'm a bit rusty on the whole Ark scene. But this is how you increase your settings, increase the number of Engram points you get per level. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was entertaining. I don't know, I'm kind of boring when I talk, I understand that much. But I hope it was at least educational, and it's going to help you guys enjoy your time in Ark much more. I still like the game. I haven't played it in a while because I've found a bunch of other games to play. But in the same aspect, Ark is still a very good game, and I really hope you guys enjoy playing it with these changed settings. But that's going to be everything for this video. If you folks have any ideas as to any other things you have questions about in the Ark genre, or maybe not even Ark, maybe it's other games, I'd be more than happy to make videos and search around for some tutorials and just compile some different ways to help out in certain games. Just leave a comment below if that's something you'd be interested in me doing. But anyway, I'll see you later, folks.